Hello, team. We are live. How are you today? I am Bianca Jayne, and I'm the plant-based queen. And I want to talk to you about two little hormone neurotransmitters, aka serotonin and dopamine. And I want to show you how they might be making you eat more. So there are two neurotransmitters, aka hormones. Most of you have probably heard of before, serotonin and dopamine. Okay. And these play an important role in your weight loss and habit formation. But I want to address whether they are helping you or hindering you in creating good, healthy habits and losing weight. So, for those of you who've heard of or have already been diagnosed or in the process of being diagnosed with ADHD, these words are probably very familiar with you. And those with ADHD struggle with things like reward, motivation, and executive function. Well, if you, even if you don't have ADHD, it's not in your pipeline, you maybe not going for a diagnosis, it doesn't mean that these hormones, these neurotransmitters, are definitely not a problem for you. And I want to explain how. But I kind of want to tell you a little bit about why I'm talking about them today. Because recently I have noticed that summer totally drained my social cup, right? It totally depleted me. I'm a bit of a homebody. Like I work from home quite a lot, as you can see. And after having like a really festival packed summer, lots of socializing, lots of fun summer days, just really, really enjoying myself. I have noticed in myself a little bit of extra raiding the cupboards recently. Now, using my own methods and tools, I have noticed that I'm looking for kind of that break, the joy, the light since I've been going back to since I'm back to work, like excitement, like dopamine. And I'm looking for rewards from the boring and tedious tasks or just maybe a pure distraction from work completely altogether. So this has led me to a little bit of cupboard raiding, and although I am still super healthy, I'm still snacking more and eating a little bit more. Now, you might be thinking, but Bianca, you're already a coach and you're super lean. Shouldn't you just not have cravings anymore? So I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret. Cravings do not go away when there is something that needs to be addressed. Okay? Your cravings will not go away. In fact, cravings are never the problem. They are the messenger, and you don't want them to go, right? You don't want to shoot the messenger. And that's what cravings are. They're just messengers. So you do not want to get rid of cravings because they are how your body communicates. Like imagine getting angry at your car for having the oil symbol lit up and getting so annoyed that every time you switch the car on, the light it's shining at you, it's flashing at you, telling you that something needs to be addressed. Like, would you hit the dashboard? Would you break the light so the light just doesn't flash up anymore? Probably not. Probably not. So you got to start looking at your cravings as that light. It's the message, but it's not necessarily in your native tongue. Mandarin Chinese is actually largely considered as the world's hardest language for English speakers to learn. So why don't you just think of your cravings like the world's hardest language, like trying to learn Mandarin? I would imagine with a bit of practice, with a lot of patience and a lot of repetition, you'll figure it out. So if someone can learn Mandarin, you can learn what your body is saying, right? Think about it. If you have a headache, you're probably stressed or tired or dehydrated. If you have a toothache, you might have an abscess. If you have high blood sugar, it's because you've got too much fat in your cells to let the glucose in. If you crave foods only in the evening, it could just be because you're so busy all day. That's the first time you get to sit down and relax and get that enjoyment and pleasure. So, one thing that I want you to take away right now is the cravings and urges are not the problem. This is the biggest kind of learning curve. As soon as you recognize that they are not the problem, they are the messenger, then you actually fix the problem that you have at hand. Because if you just try and swap it or just try to ignore the cravings, it's not going to go away long term. And the problem that is prompting the message isn't going to go away either because you're not fixing the problem. If you kind of broke your ankle, you wouldn't be pissed off that your ankle hurts. You would want to get the ankle fixed. Over time, it might heal up, but it might heal up in a damaged way, right? Think of your cravings like this. If you try and ignore it, or not address it in a in the way that they need to be addressed, then you're not actually getting to the root problem of the reason why you've got the cravings in the first place. So let's have a look at serotonin and dopamine a little bit more closely. And just to tell you, like, obviously, you guys know I'm not a hormone expert, but this is what I know, and this is how it plays an important part in looking amazing, feeling amazing, and staying lean. Now, you might not want to be super lean, might not want to be super jacked. You might look at me and say, oh my God, I would not want as much muscle as she does. And that's totally fine. But if you're constantly thinking about food, if you've got food noise all the time, if you're always craving food, if you're lethargic and tired and you have brain fog, if you have extra body fat and you recognize that you are eating, or even if you don't recognize that you're not overeating, then this is still important to learn. Okay, so let's look closely at this and the role that they play in your habits to start off with, like your food choices and ultimately your weight. So let's start with habits. So, habits are formed. Every habit, whether it's brushing your teeth, making coffee, grabbing crisps when you feel stressed, it has this like neurological loop. Okay. So, you've got a cue, which is a trigger, a behavior, which is the action you take, and a reward. So to create a habit, to create that loop, you need that kind of reward, and that's the feeling afterwards. So dopamine is what actually cements that loop. So every time you get a reward, dopamine will fire in your brain to mark that behavior as important. It's worth repeating. This is why the unhelpful habits, like eating in the evening to feel some relief, when you're not even hungry, this is why they become so automatic. So you start to, maybe you are super stressed and super busy all day, you sit down in the evening and it's your first time to actually unwind and de-stress. So you eat something and you notice that that takes your attention away from the stresses of the day. So then you are eating, that creates that reward, because you're getting the food, the happiness and the pleasure from that food. So then that creates a loop. So even continuing to eat, even when you're full, even when you've already had dinner in the evening, that you've now created a loop because you've rewarded behavior. And now it becomes automatic. Now it just becomes like, oh, well, that's what we need to do in order to feel better. So it's not about willpower. Just about repetition and reinforcement. And dopamine has a part to play in that. Now, serotonin is a little bit more subtle. And when it's balanced, you can feel calm, you can feel stable, content. And this just makes it easier to follow through on our positive and healthy routines. But when serotonin is low, you don't feel that sense of satisfaction. So your brain pushes you to seek out behaviors that might restore it. So that often looks like food, alcohol, drugs. Okay. So together, dopamine and serotonin, they're not just hormones that make you feel good. They are literally shaping, creating habits and encouraging you to do certain things and repeat certain behaviors, regardless of whether that's healthy or unhealthy, typically it's unhealthy because we get more of a pleasure and reward from the things that are not supposed to be good for us. Okay, think of junk food. Junk food is like a firework display in your brain. It is literally lighting up all of the pleasure sensors. It's like gambling. If you imagine putting some money in a machine, pulling that line, boop, 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 bing, bing, bing. You've got all of the noises, the movement, you've got the lights, the colors. They don't make a gambling machine in black and white. Why? Because it's freaking boring. It doesn't light up all the pleasure points of your brain. We like colorful things. We're drawn to colorful things. That's why even if you are a junk food addict, looking at a fresh bowl of salad that is with every rainbow color, with every color under the rainbow, like you would still be naturally drawn towards that food. I see this all the time. Clients will take like these beautiful salads. In one of my clients, actually, this is a perfect example. One of my clients takes this beautiful salad with every single color, oranges, reds, purples, greens, yellows, whites, every color that you can think of in this one salad. She takes that to work, and everyone in the office says, "Oh my God, your food looks so good." So we are naturally drawn towards the colorful, beautiful abundance of things, right? So when you when you are when you are looking at anything that lights up as many of your pleasure centers of your brain, it's probably actually going to be unhealthy for you because things have been created to light those up. So my salad example, probably a bad example. But you know what I mean. Let me know if you know what I mean. I don't even know if I'm live. Yes, I am live. I didn't even check today. Okay, so am I live? I don't know. I hope I'm live. Sorry. So how do these hormones relate to food? So dopamine and food. Our our brains evolved to reward high calorie foods because in the past calories were so scarce. So when you eat foods that are high in fat, sugar, salt, think crisps, chocolate, chips, pizza, donuts, you get a strong dopamine response. And your brain flags that food as important and remembers it for the next time. That's why cravings for processed foods can feel so persistent. And the more often you eat them, the stronger that neurological pathway becomes. When it comes to serotonin and food, carbohydrates will temporarily increase serotonin, which is why when people are stressed, when we're low in mood or tired, we will naturally gravitate towards things like, excuse me, my body is trying to let out a yawn. I have been on my desk all day. The irony. Um, I wish I could cut that out. So when people are stressed, we tend to gravitate towards foods like pasta, bread, biscuits, cookies, sweets, right? Carb-rich, heavy foods. And it's your brain just trying to self-medicate with food to help stabilize your own mood and your own energy. So it's really important because this means that cravings are not that random sign of weakness, not that you suck, not that your diet sucks. It probably does if you're on a diet, but not that you suck. But it's your brain trying to regulate something. It's trying to help fix a problem. Okay, so craving bread, pasta, and cookies at the night doesn't mean that you're shit at dieting. It means that you're shit at attending to what is going on in your life or in your body, right? Quite frankly. And I have been shit too. So, how does dysregulation lead to weight gain? Well, as you can imagine, so far from what we've said, we're going to be eating high calorie foods, right? We're going to be craving carbs and bread, pastas, and stuff like that. So, if dopamine drives repeated eating of high rewarding foods, it's a no-brainer. Each time you eat them, your brain says, yes, do that again, regardless of whether you're hungry or not. So you go in for one or two cookies, just one or two Oreos, and you come out with an empty pack, right? That dopamine is going, yes, have more, have more, have more, have more. It's why we find ourselves so out of control. Like the out of control feeling comes from that reward, that pleasure center. You will get to a point, you get to a point where you feel so gross and disgusted with yourself and angry and upset. And even one more piece of food, even when just a minute ago it felt so good, actually feels repulsive by that stage because you have nothing left. There's nothing left in your brain that's saying, have more, have more, have more. It's the same as when people take drugs. They will continue to take it until there is nothing left in their brain to tell them to keep going. Okay. So serotonin dips. When your serotonin dips, it will trigger an emotional or comfort eating response. So obviously, food becomes the quickest way to feel calm and stable again. Um, so this combination is going to override your natural hunger and fullness cues, okay? So you will have this natural ebb and flow of when you're hungry, probably about 3, 4 times in a day. When you're eating, you have this natural ability to say, okay, I've had enough food. So how do you know when you're hungry? How do you know when you've had enough? Well, that is down to your hunger and satiety hormones. In other words, ghrelin and leptin. So these hormones trigger you to eat and they trigger you to say that you've had enough. But having these strong urges and strong cravings is going to dumb those down. It's going to silence those messages, those signals to eat and that you've had enough. It's going to override that and say, oh, it doesn't matter that we're not hungry. This donut sounds so good right now. Like, have you ever been walking down the street and you're absolutely fine, but then you walk past a Dunkin' Donuts or you walk past a Krispy Kreme or you walk past a McDonald's and now suddenly you weren't hungry before, but now you want it. Maybe you're still not hungry, but oh, I could just have one of those. If you've ever said, I could just have one of those, you know what I mean. That brain goes, ooh, there's an opportunity for pleasure right about now. It's like that offer has been just handed to you on a plate, and your brain goes, sniff that up, girl, sniff it up. So over time, these patterns will create weight gain, obviously, right? You're all very intelligent, wise women here. There is absolutely no way that you couldn't understand how all of this increase in excess consumption is going to lead to weight gain, right? Not because you don't know what to eat, not because you lack discipline, not because you suck at dieting, but because the brain has now been trained and conditioned into a cycle that's not in line with your goals. And this is why so many women tell me, I know what I should be eating, but I just can't seem to stick to it. Or it's, look, it's not a knowledge problem. It's not the fact that you are a unicorn, okay? I had a client come to me after a few weeks of thinking that she was the only person on this planet that couldn't lose weight. And she came to the Zoom session and she changed her name to I'm not a unicorn. She came to the session and said, I'm not a unicorn, has entered the Zoom room, and I let her in and she said, oh my goodness, I dropped 3 pounds this week because I'm not a unicorn. Okay. You are not a unicorn. You are not an exemption from the rule. It's just chemistry. It's neurology. It's the way that we are wired. And unfortunately for you, you are someone who is having to combat shit. I can't remember the exact number, but it was something like $2,000 billion industry, right? The junk food, the junk food, the food industry is 2,000 billion. I'm pretty sure I had to Google if 2,000 billion was actually even a number. Like, if you think If you think little old you watching this video right now has more power than a $2,000 billion industry who are going to hire the top scientists, the top gambling technicians, or psychologists, psychologists, right? If you think that little old you has more power than the money that can go into creating the most hyper palatable, the most addictive, the most tasty, the most pleasure and reward hitting foods. I can't even call them foods anymore. And you think you've got more power than that, you are stupid. You are dumb. Okay? If you genuinely think that little old you should be more intelligent and clever than a $2,000 billion industry, you are dumb. Okay? Because I know that absolutely none of you are going to be sitting here thinking that you have more power and that you should be better than that bag of chips. You should be better than the cookie. Okay? If you struggle saying no, that is because you have a $2,000 billion industry against you. Okay. Um, right now, I have gone refined sugar free for 2 days, right? Which doesn't sound much. To be honest, actually, I do go longer than this anyway. But I'm in a calorie deficit right now. I'm intentionally in a calorie deficit. Um, I'm looking at reducing my body fat right now. Okay, so I've reduced my calories. I've significantly reduced my fats, and I'll tell you why. And I've not consumed any processed sugars, which processed sugars? I just said it, refined sugars, which is not typical for me. But as I'm coming off of like a dopamine detox almost, and a serotonin dopamine detox, which I'll explain in a minute, my cravings are up the wall, right? My cravings for a donut has never been higher. But the if you feed the bacteria, it will grow. Okay. If you literally feed the bacteria in your gut, it will stay there. If you starve it, the bacteria in your gut, it will call out an SOS. So here is another reason why detoxing off of foods and junk foods and salty foods and anything that's remotely unhealthy for you, or anything, to be honest, whether it's meat or dairy or eggs, you have particular bacteria in your gut microbiome that is designed to help digest that food. Okay, so every single thing that you've ever eaten, you will have developed a bacteria to help with that. So if you quit sugar, if you quit dairy, you quit eggs, that gut bacteria is going to be screaming out saying, hey, I'm dying. I need more food. And that comes in way of cravings as well. Okay, so cravings are so much more than just a neurological pull. There is a physical element to it that your gut bacteria is calling out because it is dying. So if you feel like you can go great for a day, but then 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, it feels difficult not having the chocolate, not having the meat, not having the eggs, not having the dairy. If it feels difficult, it's because your body is doing what it needs to do um, in order to completely detox from that, and that gut bacteria needs to die. So right now, the idea and the concept of having a donut is definitely appealing for me. But that is not what we're doing, because we are stronger than a little urge. We are stronger than a little craving. You can sit through uncomfortable shit. How do I know that? Because you sit through, guarantee you've sat on a flight or a long journey, right? Or you've sat next to someone with bad breath, or you have put up with Uncle Knobhead at Christmas. You have sat through uncomfortable shit so you can sit through a few days of a hankering or a craving with food. Anyway, Here's kind of what I want you to really take away here. And by the way, I'm going to share with you my plan. So hold up. I should have told you that from the get-go. I'm going to show you my plan and share it with you. I'm going to share with you my plan on what I am doing to detox, to regulate serotonin and dopamine, and reduce body fat in an easy and comfortable way, in the easiest and comfortable way. But the main thing that I really want you to take away is if you're finding it difficult to stay consistent, your brain chemistry can be part of the reason, and that's the serotonin and dopamine. Now, again, they are only out of whack because you are creating an environment that upsets that, right? You are creating an environment that is releasing too much or not enough. Okay. If you feel like cravings control you, that's dopamine at work. If you keep turning to food for comfort, that's serotonin trying to self-regulate. And if you feel like you keep repeating patterns that you swore that you'd break, it's probably because those pathways have been reinforced time and time again. So now you have the knowledge. I'm going to share with you exactly what I am doing to help regulate myself. Okay, so this is my plan. Take it with a pinch of salt. My life is not like your life. Okay, if you're sat here and thinking, oh my God, I couldn't do that. If it's because you just don't know how, then ask me, right? If it's because you don't know how, ask me. If it's because you think, holy shit, I have 8 kids and a zoo to look after, um, I couldn't possibly do that. Speak with me. If you've got a problem with the time, with the implementation, ask me, right? I'm not going to bite. But if you do want my plan and my dopamine menu, which I'm going to share with you today, just write the word menu in the comments and I will give it to you. Just take it with a pinch of salt, okay? Because this is my plan, right? You can have my plan, but just take it with a pinch of salt because this is for me. This is for my body and my lifestyle. So, what am I doing to help regulate everything and lower body fat? So I'm going to make sure that I'm doubling down on the amount of non-starchy foods. So these are things like sugar snap peas, cucumbers, carrots, tomatoes, fruits. The reason why I named these are because these are the things that I've got in my extra snack box. So if I become snacky and I want more food, I'm going to make sure that I feel so freaking full on 100 calories versus feeling full on 1,000 calories of high calorie dense foods. Okay. So I can feel physically full from snacking after consuming maybe a couple of 100 calories at tops with these low calorie density foods. It is very unlikely that it's going to take me 200 to 300 calories to feel full as a snack on these low calorie foods. They they really do take up a lot of space. So I'm going to double down on the amount of non-starchy foods. These are amazing for weight loss because they take up so much space in your belly for so few calories. I am not kidding when I say things like melon, watermelon, strawberries. These are amazing for weight loss. They taste amazing. They are super low in calorie density, but they are very water packed. So if you are wondering what foods are going to help you feel full and satisfied for longer, think of water packed, fiber packed foods. If it contains a lot of water, it's going to fill you up. Okay. If you imagine feeling hungry, then you down a pint of water, you're not going to feel hungry for a couple of minutes at the very least. So think of the calorie poor foods that are going to fill you up like that. That is what I'm doubling down on. So all of my meals, I've got double of that, right? If I had a cup of broccoli, I'm having 2 cups of broccoli. If I had a cup of green veggies, I'm having 2 cups of green veggies. Then I'm going to swap my main starches like bread, pasta, and rice for potatoes. Now, this is not for life. This is what I mean, guys. Don't come at me saying, oh my God, you're cutting out food groups and you're doing this and doing that. I don't want to hear any of that bullshit because this is my plan and this is what I'm doing to get to a lean body percentage. You do what you want to do. If you want advice and if you want guidance, like jump on a phone call with me, ask to book a phone call. It's not difficult and I can see where I can help you. However, um, for a while, for a short while, I'm going to be prioritizing potatoes. This isn't to say that pasta, bread, and rice are unhealthy for you, but potatoes are super satisfying. They take up a lot more space than the other starches, which is why I'm gonna want to feel fuller. Which is I'm gonna want to feel fuller, right? If I'm trying to feel good and feel amazing, increase that serotonin, but not too much. Don't spike it so that I'm getting a crash on the other side. Potatoes are the most satisfying starch on the planet. So if I use potatoes, I'm going to be able to fill up and feel satisfied more than I will with rice or pasta. So I'm prioritizing potatoes over the next couple of weeks. Sweet potatoes, white potatoes, purple potatoes, all kinds of freaking potatoes. I'm increasing plant-based protein sources while decreasing my main starches. I've just realized that this live is already 34 minutes, so I'm going to quickly go through this. If you want my plan, don't forget to message plan. If you want a little bit of help and guidance, just message me if you're interested, and we'll jump on like a free 15-minute call. I have not offered a free call in a super duper 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 long time. But yeah, I'll give you a 10-15 minute call tops, 10-minute slot in my calendar. Um, Increasing plant-based protein sources while decreasing my main starches. So what I am doing here, sorry, my brain just took off, to be quite honest with you. It just went choo choo and fucked off in the other direction. So I'm going to increase my plant-based sources while decreasing my main starches. Plant-based protein sources, things like beans and legumes, they are higher in their starch than something like tofu and edamame. Tofu does have like a medium amount of fat, not enough for me to classify as a fat, but they are slightly higher in the calories. So again, while increasing my plant-based protein sources, I'm able to just cut a few calories back by just decreasing some of the other starches a little bit. So instead of having like a quarter of my plate of starch and a quarter of my plate of protein, I'm just going to make that slightly more lenient towards the protein side. I lift heavy weights. I want to build a stronger, bigger frame. Okay, I want more muscle. So this transition, this flow, this kind of like, I want you to think of it like a sliding scale, and I'm just sliding the main marker across from one side to the other. It increases this. If I'm increasing the starch, it's going to decrease the protein. If I'm increasing the protein, it's decreasing the starch. That's how I'm looking at it. So things like beans, lentils, fruit, all all veg, they all contain carbs, so I won't be missing out in carbohydrates. I'm just going to reduce the starch. Reducing the starch is just going to reduce the calories just a little bit. So I'm looking at ways that I can kind of like save a penny here, a penny there, right? If you were trying to save a pound, like a physical 1 pound, like 100p, I'm talking currency here. I probably should have pre-framed that. If you're looking at saving 1 pound, and you start saving 1p, 2p, 1p, 2p, eventually you'll get to a pound, right? it's it would be very unlikely for you to just stumble across a pound. Whereas if you start saving 1p, 2p, then you'll get to that 1 pound saving mark. So the reason why I'm just making all these little tweaks is because I want that compound effect. I want to save 1p here, 2p there, because over time that's going to save me the pound. Now, if you think of now weight 1 pound, now thinking about weight 1 pound, I will be getting that 1 pound weight loss in a week. So I'm going to be detoxing from refined sugars to stop the insatiable appetite for vegan donuts. And by doing that, I'm increasing fruit. Now, cue everyone in the comments, fruit has sugar. Yes, it does. It has natural sugars. Refined sugar has more of a spike, more of a pull over me, over my desire for refined sugars. And in foods with refined sugars, it is a high calorie food. So If I want things like croissants or cookies or donuts, I'm going to be consuming significant amount of calories. If I had a load of fruit, I would not be consuming near the same amount of calories for the fullness levels, for the satiety levels, as I would something like a donut, right? I could smash back a donut and pretend like it never even happened. I could smash back half a watermelon and feel full and bloated. I don't know if you've ever tried to eat a load of watermelon. It fills you up like that. You get so full. Like my belly eating half a watermelon literally looks like half a fucking watermelon. That's because of the fiber and the water content in that, and you will be consuming a fraction of the calories. Talking about water, I continue to hit 3.5 a day. No brainer, right? No sugary beverages, one coffee a day, 3.5 liters of water. 12,000 steps a day. That's a non-negotiable for me. I avoid all oils. That is also a non-negotiable for me. If you want the nutrients, then have a whole fucking olive, okay? You do not need oils in your diet. They do not provide any positive nutrients when you look at the calorie content. They're just pointless, right? I'm going to continue lifting heavy weights. So I have a progressive program that I follow. I use an app that I pay for. I'm not a personal trainer, but the app is like having a personal trainer in my ear. No, I'm not an affiliate. Yes, I'm happy to recommend the app if you wish. I will send you my link because then you get 7 days if you want. So if you're interested, just ask and I will send you the link that everyone gets a link, right? I'll send you that. The only kickback that it gives me, I think, is like $25 store credit, but there's nothing in the store. So yeah, I'll give you 7 days for free if you want. Anyway, random thing that I'm telling you about. But yes, I'm lifting weights. It's a progressive program. So I'm every single week I'm lifting heavier weights. I'm lifting more weights. So I'm increasing the muscle mass over time. Increasing muscle mass increases the amount of calories that I burn just sitting in this chair. So if you do not lift weights and do not have much muscle on your body, even if you have a lot of body fat, you may look bigger than me. You may weigh a lot more than me. But if I have more muscle mass, I'm going to be sitting there and burning more calories because muscle requires more energy to maintain. So just sitting here is important for me to have more muscle so I can be in either more of a deficit or eat more food. 8 hours worth of sleep is a non-negotiable for me. Things to help with serotonin and dopamine. So I'm going to use daily lists. That's going to keep me organized. Ticking things off is going to give me just like a little bit of pleasure, a little bit of a bit of a dopamine kick. Very, very minuscule, very tiny, but it does help. Taking hourly screen breaks from work is going to just replenish, it's going to restore, it's going to make me feel like I don't need that like dopamine kick at the end of the day if I'm not going 100 miles an hour all day, every day. Gonna take one break outside to get some sunlight exposure. I'm going to use the dopamine menu, which is at the bottom of here, which is here. And anytime I feel like I need some food or I've got this insatiable craving, right? I'm going to look at the dopamine menu. And instead of going for food, I'm going to go for something that is going to create that little bit of a hit, a little bit of a kick. And of course, I'm going to be talking with an accountability buddy, right? I have a group of accountability friends. We post in there our workouts, our steps every single day. My clients and I are tracking our steps every day. Every one of those ladies in that chat has done in the challenge has done more steps and is burning more calories as a result this month. Having an accountability group is totally, totally invaluable. We actually change when we are surrounded by the people that are also achieving the things that we want to achieve. So, sorry, let me rephrase that. You will be the same as the people around you. So if you surround yourself with people who are achieving more, who are reaching your goals, who are losing weight, who are gaining energy, who are 100% plant-based, if you immerse yourself in groups like that, you will naturally, you will be pulled to make decisions and actions and behave in the way that is more in alignment with those people. If you sit around a community, your friends, your family, let's say your family at home do not want to change, it is unlikely that you will be able to change and stick with that change long term. Natural instinct, we all have a natural instinct to be the same as. So, to be the same as as someone else who, sorry. So, I'm just getting excited because this stuff excites me. If you only have that family around you who still eat takeaways all the time, who eat junk food, who don't move their body, and you don't have a community of people who are striving for more, who are checking in daily, that you see are being active and that are hitting their goals, if you don't have that, you will always stay the same as that other your family, right? It is very unlikely that if you do not remove yourself that you will change. So the biggest thing that you can do is immerse yourself in a community of people that are actually achieving what you want to achieve. That is one of the big selling points of my program is that we have that community. We have threads, we have accountability threads, we have a support thread, we have another thread. We're going to have a food thread, right? There are many ways in which you can dive in and surround yourself and change your natural behavior. You wouldn't even realize that you are trying to be the same as, so you naturally feel pulled towards making supportive choices rather than destructive ones by being in group chats, in communities, in areas, in rooms, in spaces with people who are doing that also. You just naturally start behaving in a way that's in alignment with them. So, anyway, what I'm doing and what I'm taking from that is utilizing my groups, utilizing my accountability buddies, utilizing competition in order for me to follow through with all of the things that are on this menu, on this list. So the dopamine menu, I'm not going to go through all these, but I've got basically 5 to 10 minute things that I can do, 15 to 30 minutes things that I can do, 30 to 60 social connections, and specifically something for ADHD as well, just purely because I am going through the phases of getting diagnosed at the moment. And I know that whether I am officially ADHD or unofficially ADHD doesn't matter because these things actually help with my brain. So whether I do get the label or not, it doesn't matter because these things help me learn, they help me stay on focus and stay on track. So whether you're ADHD or not, it doesn't matter. The thing that matters is you work with your brain instead of trying to work with a system that doesn't work for you, right? So whether you learn kinesthetically, whether it's easier for you to listen and learn, doesn't matter. Whatever way works best for you, you do that. If you want my plan, this is just my plan of what I'm doing. Let me know. I will be more than happy to share that with you. Just drop the word. What did I say to drop the word? Menu? Was it menu or plan? Drop the word menu or plan in the chat, and I will be happy to give you my plan, that exact plan that I was just sharing how I am going to reduce my body fat, reduce the desire to be craving those foods, reducing the desire to have those high processed, high calorie dense foods, and really lean into the low calorie dense foods, regulate the spikes. So, because I have been kind of feeding the spikes, feeding the serotonin and dopamine, they have been spiking quite a lot. And because they're not spiking anymore, it means that I'm feeling almost withdrawals from those hormones. So if you are feeling the same, if you feel like your serotonin and dopamine might be a little bit off, very similar to me. Maybe you are ADHD. Maybe you think you're ADHD. Maybe you feel like you're ADHD, but you're not ADHD. It doesn't matter. We all love each other. I don't care what you label yourself as. All of these things will help to naturally kind of balance you out, get you back in line with a natural rhythm, natural pattern. Notice how none of this is like, use these injections, use these products, use these pills. It's all lifestyle. That is everything that I teach. That is everything that I coach. And that is everything that I live by, right? And I just want this to also be a reminder to you. Remember that you are not a machine. You will naturally you will naturally go through these ebbs and flows in life, and that is okay. The way that you are going to pull through that, the most important thing is the way that you work around it. So, if you notice that you're craving more, if you notice that your body weight is creeping in, if you notice that you are searching the cupboards and you're raiding the fridge at night, if you recognize these behaviors, you need the tools to overcome them. You can't just sit here and naturally think that because you've gone on a diet or you've decided to lose weight, that you have the systems in place or the environment in place to be conducive of the good habits that you want. You must change the systems. You must change your environment. That is what I'm doing here, right? I am not what's the word? I am not exempt, sorry, I'm not exempt from natural human psychology because I've been doing this for a while. Okay, it doesn't make me exempt, it just makes me slightly better at recognizing and changing my behaviors. And that's what I'm doing here. So, team, I hope you've enjoyed this. This is a very in-depth training. Hopefully, if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. Tag me because I don't always see comments. I don't always get DMs. I want to always answer your questions. So drop them in the comments box. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out. Love you loads. Take care. And if you need anything, let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want the plan, you have to join the Facebook group in order to get the plan. If you just drop it in the comments, I won't be able to send it over to you because I don't know if you can do that on YouTube. Anyway, I will drop the link to the group below on YouTube. Let me know if you want the plan, and I will see you all very soon. Take care, team. Bye.